Okay? Then we test ourselves by using past paper. Question bank. In your materials, I set some past paper, select some past paper to you. Actually, there are about 20 exam diets, okay? But you just go through the last maybe 10 diets should be sufficient. So we use some question in the June diet. But after doing that, remember, one, check the hot topic, which are most likely examined in the coming diet, and then check the past paper analysis in your welcome pack so that you know common exam topics. All right? Okay, now go through the page 36, 2025 June 1st. Imagine you are now going to the examination room. You have 3 hours open book. First rule, do not try to open book. Okay, that means you have some memory beforehand. In order to help you to memorize, you use the mind map. The mind map has only 30 pages. You organize all the key wording in your mind map. Just in case you cannot figure it out, you retrieve your mind map. Therefore, you have some tape paper. Okay? In the examination room, when the supervisor said you may start now, and then some of them already retrieved the book, then you imagine normally fail. Okay? Don't try to retrieve the book first. And then out of the case study, 50 marks for section A. Section B, we call it short questions. Short question, essay type. Section B type is more straightforward in a particular topic. It may be easier. You either know or you don't know. Okay? If you can do it, you can do it quickly. But for section A, it's a comprehensive case. It's a comprehensive case. It combines everything together, normally for a company. Okay? So, in general, you spend more time to read the facts in section A. So my suggestion is you follow the sequence. Do section A first. Okay? Second point. In the examination, they give you 2 books, 2 answer books. Section A answer book, section B answer book. When I was the director of HKCA, every exam diet afterwards, we need to sign a lot of letters, more than hundreds, advising that if you use wrong book, you will not be marked next time. Okay, so remember to choose the correct answer book. Do section A first. And then spend about 5 minutes reading the question only. Okay, how to do it? So, without going through the facts, in the examination room, I will check the requirements first. So this is at page 39. By checking the requirement like this, I think 5 minutes are sufficient to read through all the questions. So this depends on your practice. So remember to practice at home. 5 minutes may be sufficient. What you need to observe, for example, it is profit tax. Okay? It is profit tax, but is it income or expense? Income or expense? Income. Okay? This is income. In your mind, which mind map? Will not be page 44, right? Page 5 is profit tax summary. If page 5 narrow down to section 14, page 6. So you go through like that, then you can imagine overall they will not overlap. So if you check this in section 14, then in section B will not be section 14 the same topic. Overall, no overlap. So question 1A is about profit tax income side. Section 1B is about source. Remember the DIPN number, 21. Okay, so in examination, either you underline like this or you mark down, okay, this is about section 14. This is about the IPN 21。聽唔聽明？會好快嘅可以。如果你喺度一路慢慢度咧，都可以幫要再考過咁嘅，幫唔幫到？如果你要練到差唔多係咁樣啦，5分鐘大約知道可能係考乜嘅啦。咁你要慢慢入局喎，你可能咧去到差唔多半個鐘頭咧，你先 warm up 㗎。但係起碼你大約知道係點樣。OK， 好 ，Question 2 will not go here because question 2 will not relate to what we have discussed so far, so I skip it. Okay, and then question 3, what is the topic related? What is the topic? Source 咩喺邊度睇到 source 嘅？Business in Hong Kong 係咪啊 ？Business in Hong Kong 喺邊度啊 ？Section 14 3 condition one of the conditions business in Hong Kong。咁我考之前係咪讀咗 page 6 my map business in Hong Kong 有好多條件噶嘛？咁我一早 mark 定晒啦。呢個 business in Hong Kong。And also business in Hong Kong is the hot topic in coming diet. That means there are some past paper that test you. Therefore, if they test you this one already, will they test you the same in coming diet? 會唔會啊？會抑或唔會？會嘅舉手。會唔會考同樣呢個？我話俾你聽，唔會。點解咧？如果可以喺 past paper 抄到嘅，咁就唔使考啦。聽唔得明 ？Can you see the point? So more critical for doing these past paper, at least warm up, make sure you understand the knowledge. You understand the style, how to write. But likely they may test you the same angle but different aspect. Can you see the point? If this logic is correct, then your December 2025 paper is very crucial. December 25, that means last diet. So those things happened last diet. Will it be happen this diet? 會唔會啊？我哋考試咧好機動性㗎，因為我哋下一次就係以後考㗎啦嘛。要學咧學成世嘅可以，但係考試咧好機動性。一般嚟講，上一次考完嗰啲咧，你睇 past paper，exactly the same, unlikely. Same topic, yes, but not exactly the same. Can you see the point? Alright, so first, check what is hot topic. Second, how this is examined in the past. This may be examined differently because they cannot copy the facts again. This is open book. Otherwise, 你咪剪咗 answer 落咪得咯。聽得明啊 ？Okay, so the approach is like that. So at the end, maybe try some other past paper and also observe the different ways of asking it. Okay, then we move on. In section A, we have few questions. You will see that question 1, how many marks? 14. Okay, they give you the minutes involved. Remember to control your time. 25 minutes for writing, 40 marks. And then question 3A, 6 marks. So you have about 20 marks of what you have learned or studied this morning in section A. Now, if within the 5 minutes, in order to understand the question, then we move on to section B, question 5, page 7. First, source of income from office, section 8, DIPN 10. Can you see the point? Second one, director fee. Is it office or employment? Office. Okay? Then section 81AB, they test you like that. They don't use human language. They use section number. So you need to observe whether there are any exemption by section 81AB. Alright? Okay. 2 marks for communication. They observe your writing skill as well. If you are asked about a letter, here email, you present your answer in email format, you will be given 2 marks. Okay? And then you also will be given 2 marks for analytical. That means you identify the facts, analyze the key points, another 2 marks. So how many marks for technical? 8 marks out of 12. So observe these skills as well. They are very standard. After few diets of the past paper, you know email, letter, etc. All right? Okay, 12 marks. Imagine how many pages you need to cover. If I imagine 5 marks, 1 page, about 2 pages, nearly finished. Because some format marks already. So another 12 marks related to what we have covered this morning. Then we move on to next question, question 6. Okay, the first one, medical expense. What is asked? Deduction. Okay. In your mind map, page 44, we have income side, expense side, etc. You mark down the key point for deduction rules. 1 point, 1 mark. Second one is about the annuity policy. So new deduction, consecutive deduction, annuity 嗰啲年金喎，得唔得啊？咁樣喎。Beforehand, you mark down the conditions, then you can match. And then the computation, not elect joint assessment. Joint assessment is page 43. Not, you don't use page 43. You use page 42 for Mr. Poon and Mrs. Poon for the sales tax computation. So you match the format and do the computation. Ignore provisional tax. Provisional tax means 暫繳稅. It's for next year, 暫繳稅. Okay? This will be taught in administration. However, normally in computation, they don't ask you provisional tax. And then property tax liability, page 44, 2 marks only. Okay, the technique, they ask you 2 marks. If you copy page 44, do you have enough time? 唔夠時間㗎啦，肯定。2分要幾多時間啊？ Every mark times 1.8， 2分即係3分鐘，睇完都冇咗1分鐘啦。係嘛？所以你要將 page 44 use a simplified way to calculate the amount. They are not asking you to present the format. They are asking you to calculate the tax. Okay? And then PA. PA separately. You use page 45 for 4 marks. Finally, they add some administration, tax obligation. Administration, leaving Hong Kong. Okay? In this question, apart from the administration side, all are covered by today's section, which involve 20 marks. Okay? 3 marks for administration. So question 5, 12 marks. Question 6, 20 marks, 30 something already for the topic scope of charge and computation discussed so far. 好 ，so far 有冇 stamp duty 啊？未見到啊，我睇有冇咯喎。Move on. Question 7, stamp duty. Can you see that they are separate quite clearly? Stamp duty, they ask you 15 marks. That's the end. So at least 50 marks are covered so far by today's section. So as long as you try to maximize how to write down the issues. 咁又唔使攞好高分嘅，50入對考係咁樣嘅。Hot topic 90分喺 hot topic 嗰度，有70分咧好熟嘅，77攞70好容易啦。77係咪49啊？49 pass 唔 pass？49唔 pass 喎，咁點啊？因為有2分啦，係喺呢度攞嘅。Write the email， 識啦啩寫 email。OK， 咁我會 pass。好啦，咁樣我以前考試攞獎㗎香港，50分咧就 pass，74分咧都係 pass，但係冇人知你幾多分㗎，總之 pass。70分、75分唔同啦，你攞獎有錢分嘅。OK， 所以咧你要考慮啦。Within the next 1 month, sufficient time to pass. Just try to practice with exam skills the core topics, hot topics. Okay. If you are interested in it, study it again later on. All right? Okay. So 5 minutes, you can identify easily. Now, within the next 5 minutes, in the first 10 minutes of your examination, we check the case. Now we check the case, how they structure the case to you. Normally 2.5 page. 2.5 page of the facts given. What you need to decide, which paragraph are related to question 1, which paragraph are related to question 2, etc. What happened is, now we cover so far question 1 for section 14 and source DIPN 21. Question 3A for section 14 but focus on doing business in Hong Kong in section A. Alright? What I want you to do is that, can you identify the facts paragraph involved? In this case, which paragraphs are related to question 1 and question 3A? 明唔明我哋要做啲咩？ We call it structured case. Some paragraphs are particularly related to a particular question. So I give you 5 minutes. You highlight. What do you think? Which paragraphs are related to question 1? Which paragraphs are related to question 3A? Give you 5 minutes. Okay, 5 minutes gone. What happened is that when you finish the first 5 minutes reading the requirement of each question, you have a general idea of the subject area. Now you go into the case with your understanding of the question. So now we are going to deal with question 1. The company has 2 income, download income and sub-licensee fee. Okay, so they are asking you what are the nature of the income, and then how the source is determined. If we go into with these in mind, we go into the detailed facts. The company structure in the first paragraph. The company structure is more likely in every diet like your mind map page 5. Okay? Overseas company, Hong Kong, and then China. Okay? In the first paragraph, overseas company in country S. They have a subsidiary in Hong Kong, K Limited. So in your mind map, Kim PDE, which is Singapore, and then Hong Kong, which is K Limited. And then they have something item 1 to 7. In effect, is telling you the operation of the company. Is that correct? They are telling you the operation of the company. In the first sight, you may not be familiar because this is a new paper. You will not be familiar with it. But you understand this is about the operation of the Hong Kong company. All right? So will this be relevant to your question 1? Very likely, because they mentioned the download income, they mentioned the sub-licensing fee, they mentioned the operation, which is the determination for source. All right? So I will mark down here, maybe here is the background, first paragraph. 1 to 7 is the operations. And then when I try to do question 1, then I will refer it again. All right? I highlight here download because the question mentioned about download. So I highlight download as well. Okay, then we move on to page 2. They mentioned the limited company P&L. Is it related to question 1 in terms of computation? Question 1, they don't ask you computation. So the figures are not relevant to you so far. However, the download income sub-license fee, they mentioned note 1, note 2. Is it relevant for you to determine the nature as asked in question 1A, and also the source, which is determined by the operation? All right, so I will mark down here question 1. Because they mentioned about download fee income and sub-licensing fee. When I discuss the source issue as asked in question 1, B, I will probably use the operation here. So here I will mention question 1 as well. All right? Okay, roughly is enough because you have not yet drawn the relevant points. Then move on. Note 1, Note 2, I will check. And then Note 3 is the licensee, pay, etc. This is not necessarily related, but bear in mind, if you check or draft the point, you see whether this license fee is relevant. And then withholding tax, normally related to double tax issue, all right, or computation issue. Okay, and then you can imagine the structure of the case is like that. First page, operation and the background of the company. Second page, half of it related to the P&L. And then the second half of the page is related to this issue, restructuring, okay, which is related to which question? 似邊條啊？係咪有呢個 restructuring 嘅字啊？ Can you see that? So likely that is related to question 3A. They ask, will the company doing business in Hong Kong after restructuring? So I guess the second page, second half, restructuring issue is related to question 3. Initially, I'm not quite sure what they are mentioning, but I think this is related to question 3. Okay? Then move on to the next page. So normally they have 2.5 pages for the facts. They mentioned that you are the tax person and you handle the engagement. And they want you to not to notify the IRD, etc., in order to avoid the penalty, etc. So these are not related to question 1 and 3, but these are related to, for example, ethics. Okay, ethics, professional ethics. Administration, because they mentioned penalty. These are in other parts of Section A. All right? So, not related, but for your examination purpose, of course, you may mark down when you go through the other questions. Here, the tax compliance and the professional ethics issues. So the third half page is related to question 4. Okay? So for completeness, I will mark down here. This should be question 4. So afterwards, if I do question 1, I do question 3A, I will not refer to here because these are related to question 4. I will study it in detail when I do question 4. Can you see the approach? Okay, within 10 or 15 minutes, if you are not so familiar in the initial stage, within 10 or 15 minutes, actually you are doing planning. You are not writing the answer, no rush. All right? Okay, now we try to write the answer, how to do it. We will start question 1 first. However, okay, we can start now. So, coming section, you try to know how to write the answer within the limited time. Okay? For the first question, altogether 25 minutes. You just forget what you have spent 15 minutes beforehand, like reading the question, understanding, etc. Forget it first. Now you have 25 minutes for doing question 1. And then 6 marks, referring 6 points. You just treat 1 point, 1 mark. For 1 page, you probably can write 5 points. Each point may be 3 lines, 4 lines, etc. So each page, you may have about 5 points. So altogether, question 1A may be 1 page or a little bit more. And then 1B is 1.5 page. All right? Before writing the answer, plan enough points to write before you start. If you can only think of 2 points, that means not enough. If you think of 10 points for 6 marks, it means 諗多咗. Alright? It's about 6 points, 6 marks. You have 4 only, then go to start, because while you write, you will think of related issues. Alright? So that is the first tip I want to draw your attention. How to allocate your times, how to write the relevant points. Now extract the relevant points from the facts given. Okay, which points are relevant? Remember the question asks you the nature of income. The nature of income and the source of the income. What does it mean by business income? Like service income, like sale of product. Okay, you need to determine whether this is sale of service or sale of product, etc. Royalty income, what does it mean? Use of IPR, use of intellectual property rights. Okay, so you determine the nature of these 2 types of income, and then determine the source by using DIBN 21. All right. Okay, then we move on to the facts to see which points are relevant. The first paragraph, background information, not necessarily have to written down in the answer book. Okay, so I make a tick for you to jot down. Oh, these could be the relevant points to be included into the marks given. They have physical office, etc., not necessarily related. All right. Second point, they have business involve licensing copyright written by non-residents, and then asking the customer to pay download fee for the download fee. Okay, so this point is relevant. So the download is using service, using product, or using copyright. What do you think? The customer pay a download fee to the company. Are they the customer buying service, buying products, or buying copyright? Which one? Product, not copyright, because they are not given the copyright. Just like you buy a software you download a software from the website, you give money, you have no copyright. You are asked to use only. Alright， 但係去到考試咧，你好亂㗎啦，咁急。然後咧，總之 within time limit， 因為你係有權錯50次嘅，你100分咧，你錯50次都 pass 㗎。但係唔好太花時間。如果有糾纏嘅話咧 ，make 咗 judgment 就寫啦，幫唔幫我到？喺呢一 part 咧，你可能唔見咗幾分，但係後邊仲有嘅，唔好嘥時間。聽得明 ？OK。Second point, download the copy onto their computers and read. Not allowed to modify the ebooks. So give you the idea they can use the product, but they cannot have the copyright. So tend to download is business income or royalty income. Is business income or royalty income? Royalty income, you allow people to use the copyright. They have the copyright, the customer has the copyright. But the business income, they only sell service or product for use. So likely, business income, not copyright income. Copyrights normally license the copyright. Then move on. They have a server located in blah, blah, blah. So is it related to the income? It is only related to source issue. Okay, so at the moment, if I make the relevant point for part question 1A, 2 fee is relevant. For question 1B, 4 is relevant. Okay. Number 5, they don't have any human intervention. The IT television will give some update, etc. They give you the operation, again the source issue. All right. Question 6, the business manager travel overseas and sign the contract with the authors, but the authors is invited to Hong Kong to sign the contract. So this gives you idea of the sub-licensee fee. They pay some money, but this is not related to, they only related to the operation. Okay? And then office managers have daily work in Hong Kong, operation again. So briefly, you have some points for Part 1A, some points for Part 1B here. 分分打，唔使好準確嘅，如果攞 pass。如果好準確，就係好似而家咁樣分到。有邊個位覺得唔係喎，唔係咁喎 ？Any question？ 得唔得㗎？最緊要 application 啊，因為你係好熟咗，但係寫唔到唔得㗎。All right, move on. Just now we mentioned this, they specifically mentioned download fee and sub-license fee. So quite clearly, Note 1 and Note 2 give me a lot of information to identify the nature of income in question 1A. So first one, income from readers. Combined with above, we understand this is likely business income rather than royalty income. And then Note 2. The sub-licensee fee income is actually received from a company in China. Okay, what they get? They get negotiate concluded in they are allowed to, because the China company also sub-license to others, so they are given the copyrights to modify, etc. Based on this Note 2 together with above notes, likely the nature of the sub-licensee fee, is it royalty income? 係咪 royalty income 啊？你啲反應係咪啊？ I repeat, what is the sub-licensee fee? The company obtain a right from overseas author and then sub-license the right, the product to TAO Limited. So the TAO China Limited, they have the rights to use the copyright, etc. So more likely the copyright income. Can you see the point? All right. Why we need to differentiate service income and copyright income? The source is different determination. Give me that. Okay, move on. License fee paid annually to unrelated author, it refers to the obtaining the license. And then withholding tax related to double tax issue. Okay, here the next paragraph is question fee. And then the next page is for question 4. That's all. Okay, so far we have gone through enough information from the facts given. Now draft the answers. The question 1A, 6 points. Nature of income. Maybe 3 marks half for business income, 3 marks for royalty income, because 2 different types. Okay? For the download item, you mention the facts here. They need to pay annual income like subscription in your Note 1. And then they can only use it without modify the e-books. They have the right to use, but they don't have the copyright. So likely they are related to business income. Can you see the point? And then in terms of their copyright, they obtain the copyright from overseas authors. And then they grant the copyright to the China company to use the copyright of the books. And therefore, it is likely copyright income, royalty income, rather than business income. All right? Okay, so far you can see that I mixed up with the facts given and then divide the points into 3 marks for business income, 3 marks for royalty income. And then you have around 6 points already, then you can throw into the answer book. One more point about the copyright. Actually, is divided in or given example in DIPN 39. Okay, if you can give this DIPN 39, you may get also 1 mark. Otherwise, you can still get the 6 marks because normally 6 marks they have maximum 8 points. As long as you complete all 6 marks, 6 points, you can get the full marks. All right? Okay. After doing that, we now go to 1B, the source of income. Remember, they have 8 marks, so 2 items, slightly 4 marks for business income, 4 marks for the royalty income. First of all, for the business income. So, do you think they are selling products or selling service? Mix. So what you need to do is to try to apply DIPN 21 for the business income operation test. So first point, code DIPN 21 operation test. Code the rule, what and where. So what the taxpayer has done. Regarding the download fee, you mentioned the activity done in Hong Kong. You also mentioned the activity done outside Hong Kong. For example, the manager travel overseas, activity done outside Hong Kong. But that activity not necessarily effective cost for the business income. So the approach is that highlight the issue, DIPN 21. Briefly explain the rule, operation test, what and where. Apply to the facts. Facts are complicated. Some are in Hong Kong, some are outside Hong Kong. Then use the rules. Which step is effective cost? That means most important reason for earning the download fee. Then conclusion, balance. What do you think? Is it Hong Kong related or purely offshore? 應該係香港嘅，因為 offshore 嘅。有冇人覺得係 offshore 㗎？喂 ，like 嚟香港啦，你全部都喺香港做嘛？Critical steps 喺香港嘛，咪香港 source 咯。So about the royalty, you don't use DIPN 21, you use DIPN 22. Remember DIPN 22, there are 3 types. First type, you develop the copyright. Second type, you buy the copyright. Third type, you obtain the copyright and then grant the copyright sub-license. So here, which situation? You obtain and then grant by sub-license. How do you obtain? You obtain the right from non-resident office. Obtain the license. And then you grant the right, that means sub-license to the China patent. Just like contracts effected. So the rule is the same. You identify the issue coding DIPN 21. You don't copy, you memorize which one is more appropriate. Granting the license, that means sub-license, obtain the license from the overseas offer. Then you apply. Are they done in Hong Kong? First of all, here. Done overseas or in Hong Kong? Liaise with the overseas offers by the business managers. However, the contract is negotiated concluded in Hong Kong. Conclusion, obtain the contract in Hong Kong. All right? Then, sub-license to the China party. How to do it? Negotiated and concluded in Hong Kong. So both contracts, obtaining the license, sub-license are done in Hong Kong. Conclusion, Hong Kong source. All right? Okay. Do you need to mention it is taxable or not? 可以，亦都唔使。聽唔聽明啊？佢都冇問你係咪得罪，問你係咪 Hong Kong source 啫嘛。問你個 source 啫嘛。但係 likely 你會 mention according to section 14, since this is Hong Kong source, then should be taxable. Can you see the point? Okay. Here are the approach. So I repeat again. Allocate the time. Okay, 6 marks, maybe 6 points. And then using IAS, identify the issue, what are the rules applied to the facts, and then summarize the text treatment. Can you see the point? Okay, now check the answer to see the key wording involved. If you go to page 47, they mention you need to track the M14 e-commerce. Okay, so e-commerce, what does it mention? Whether you are using copyright or you have the right to modify the copyright. If you are use only, then you are business income. But if you are allowed to modify, you are having royalty income. So they are actually mentioning about the issue involved. I checked the rules under the M14. Just now, if you don't code the M14, you code the commercial terms. Okay, you are using the IPR, or you have the right to copy. You have the copyright as well. So after identify, you apply to the facts. For the download income, they don't have any right. They can only use it. They don't have the copyright. So this is business income. We call apply. Similarly, apply to the sub-licensing fee. You obtain and grant. So the China company have the right to use the copyright, modify, etc. So they are likely royalty income. All right? I, A, and then S. Summary of the tax treatment. All right? 3 marks for each type. Okay, check this page answer any question of how to manage, to master the information and write it using IAS. This step is very important, okay? It depends on whether you have sufficient time to write the correct answer. If you copy everything, you more or less get the marks, but you don't have enough time to do other questions. So organize your understanding IAS and apply to the facts and then write your answers. Okay, then they use about 1 page for 6 marks. Now go to question 1B. Identify the issue DIPN21. Okay? Some of you may ask, do I need to code the authority? If you remember, code it. If you don't remember, don't code DIPN41. They will be marked no mark. Okay? So make sure your citation is correct. So identify issue DIPN21 operation test. Board guiding division what and where, and the authority is from Hansen Bank or DVBI case. Then apply to the facts. They give you a lot of facts for different activities. So you apply the facts given. Some are in Hong Kong, some are not Hong Kong. In order to simplify your writing, because if you create a table here, waste a lot of time. You may simply, the following activities are done in Hong Kong, blah, blah, blah. However, some activities, blah, 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 are done in overseas. Only one activity is done overseas here. Okay? So you may simplify the writing of the table like that. Then, when determine the source, there is one fact in your question. Mention the server. Remember the DIPN39, we said server is not relevant. Okay? The server does not determine the source. Now, the operations are some in Hong Kong, some outside Hong Kong. So, check the effective cost. In normal term, we call weighted. That means checking weighted. That means checking the effective cost. Which one is more important? Therefore, we track the detailed operation. Based on above, you elaborate a little bit, and then you find out that most important facts are done in Hong Kong. So this actually is applied. Overall, the service income or the download fee income is Hong Kong source. And then the sub-licensing fee according to the IPN 22. The IPN 21 mentioned that you track the IPN 22, okay? The grounding and acquiring of the rights is in Hong Kong, therefore Hong Kong source. Conclusion, all are Hong Kong source. So using IAS again. 掌唔掌握到啊？差唔多版半紙咯。如果你真正寫落啱就。咁啊，寫之前咧諗下，有幾多個 facts 可以 call 落去咯？如果唔係咧，你一路寫一路寫咧，開頭咧就好夠時間，因為啱啱 start 到 paper。但係寫下咧，你係急㗎嘛，所以一定要 plan before write。All right. Okay, that's all for question 1. Now we move on to question 3A, which is related to what we have discussed so far. Question 3A asks you, after the restructuring, is the company still doing business in Hong Kong? When you check page 6, doing business in Hong Kong can be a lot of things. For example, doing business in Hong Kong in your mind map page 6. That can be profit business activity in Hong Kong, section 2. That can be other factors showing business activities in Hong Kong. That can be permanent establishment. If there is a permanent establishment in Hong Kong, you are doing business by section 50AAK. Whether you have permanent establishment depends on DTA. If no DTA with that country, then we may use the IR5, like physical office, operation in Hong Kong, etc. Or will they have central management and control in Hong Kong? Okay? Server is irrelevant. A server is irrelevant for source, but if you have server in Hong Kong, that can be classified as permanent establishment. All right? So all these things can be used depending on the facts given. Now go back to the question. They have 6 marks. So you properly have 6 relevant points. Okay? Then from the facts given, they have the original operation in the case. And then when we move on to question 3, here is the restructuring. Now, again, you try to figure out what particular points should be putting in order to mark up the 6 points. The employment contract terminate, no staff here. Bookkeeping outsource, no employee in Hong Kong because all outsourced to other firm. K-Limit no longer maintains physical presence. From here, except server. So server is in Hong Kong. Even though this does not affect the source, but it affects you have business activity in Hong Kong. Can you see the point? So preliminary, you may mention, since restructuring, they minimize the activity in Hong Kong. However, they still have business activity by maintaining the server here. Can you see that? So here you may actually mention 2 points. They minimize the activities. However, they still have the server here. Okay? Furthermore, the website operates as normal, earning same income. No further update. That means they maintain the website to earn the income. Neutral, this factor. Bank account is operated by K remotely from country X. So even though the bank account operates remotely, it means the bank account is kept in Hong Kong. They have business activity here. The website has been relocated and hosted by a server in Hong Kong. It means the website activity will earn income in Hong Kong. So altogether, what is your conclusion? Are they doing business in Hong Kong? Very likely. Even after restructuring, they still have business activities here. Okay, so you probably has enough points to mention in your answers. So now go to the answer to see whether this is the approach to write. Your answer page. #51. Activity reduced because they give you the note. Activity reduced. Okay? But in terms of carrying on business, as long as you have business activity, even though the degree may be minimized, you may still have business in Hong Kong. So how to determine evidence? So we check evidence. Evidence from the facts given. Example, gainful use. If you refer to my map page 6, section 2 involved doing business in Hong Kong, and the case law mentioned that any activity earning income is business activity. They are still incorporated in Hong Kong, making profits. The server and websites are maintained here. So it is still profit seeking. As long as these are classified as permanent establishment, it will be classified as doing business in Hong Kong. Or if this is non-DTA country, we may still use Section 17, Schedule 17T for doing business here. So in summary, they have a fixed place of business like the website, like the server. They have business activity here, still earning income, including the server. So conclusion is S. Here can be classified as applied to the facts given. We use Schedule 70T. We don't use the so-called Section 50 AAK. That means because US and Hong Kong has no DTA, we use Schedule 70G. So overall conclusion is still doing business in Hong Kong. Okay, have a look to the suggest answer to see whether you know how to write the key points. If you can write those underlined wording, probably you can get the marks already. Okay, question 1, source and nature of income. Question 3A, doing business in Hong Kong. Both items are still hot topics in coming exam, but they may test you differently. For example, have they tested you trading here? Not yet. Have they tested you royalty income by the non-resident? Not yet so far, question 1, question 3. You can see the point. So they may try to change the facts a little bit and then test different angle. But still focusing on source, DIPN 21, royalty income for Hong Kong, DIPN 22. Maybe royalty income for non-Western, Section 15, which we have not yet covered in the trading receipts. And then Section 14, another factor doing business in Hong Kong, like the PE concept. Okay? OK 嗎？有冇問題？好易定好難啊 ？OK 啊？唔 OK 啊？有咩困難啊？O 唔 OK 啊？ 要練下寫咯。OK， 譬如我哋去做 tax 啊，去到 firm 升到經理咧，先至揾鬼婆教我哋寫英文㗎。最重要嘅 step 就係 plan before write 就會快啲。OK， 咁啊要 practice 寫，如果唔係咧，你就左抄右抄咁樣㗎啦，係啊。OK， 咁啊記住個 rules 喎 ，IAS simple sentence 1.1 marks， 做完就走下一條。OK，then we move on to other question. Now section B. Section B, short question or essay. We go through question 5 first. And then check the question again. You have reviewed the question in the first 5 minutes, but make sure you check it, make sure you understand it before you find the facts. You need to write email, okay, in order to get the communication marks. Then source of income from office, likely director fee. Source of office is from where? Central management and control, that means board of directors meeting, if he is really director. And then the director fee, chargeable to sales tax or not. If this is Hong Kong source, then chargeable. If this is not Hong Kong source, not chargeable. Okay? Then in case he is having employment income, then you go through the section 81A, B, etc. Whether there is any exemption. In particular, the 60-day rules or no services in Hong Kong or pay overseas tax. Section 81A and then A, B, C. Section 81A, B more or less related to exemption, no services in Hong Kong, including the 60-day rule. All right? Then check the facts. For section B case, more straightforward in a particular topic. So you more or less likely you can check the facts and immediately you will understand this is the relevant point for answers. First one, the company is in overseas. By doing that, what is the key point you need to observe? If this is overseas company, remember DIPN 10. If the employer is in Hong Kong, the source of employment is in Hong Kong. All right? So that is relevant point. Then move on. The company is doing business like waste funds, etc. The nature of business of the company. It is investment holding. Now they have the branch share register in Hong Kong. So 1, 2, 3 refers to the operation in Hong Kong for this Cayman Islands. Then number 4, the principal place of business is in Hong Kong. So they are doing business in Hong Kong, but not the question asked. They are asking the source of the director fee. Number 5. Number 5, financial statements audited in Hong Kong. Okay, so very clearly, even though they are Cayman Island, they are doing business in Hong Kong. But whether they are managed and controlled in Hong Kong, you read further. Because if they are managed and controlled in Hong Kong, the office income is Hong Kong source. All right? Hong Kong office is rent and use, maintain records. So they have records here. Compliance manager is doing business here. Board of directors are made up of Hong Kong resident and non-Hong Kong resident. So at the end, you need to check this fact very carefully. Whether the board of directors are holding meeting here. Okay, move on. The company appoint Mr. Chen, which is the subject taxpayer they are asking. Non-executive director, still director post. Receive director fee, the subject fee is 3 million. Mr. Chen is mainland China resident, stayed in Hong Kong for 10 days. Okay. If he is director, office income, is there any exemption for director fee for days in Hong Kong? 有冇㗎 ？60-day rule 係 apply employment 啦，因為 apply to office 㗎。Employment only. Okay, for director fee, either Hong Kong source or non-Hong Kong source. No such exemption under 60-day rules. Okay, so this they try to mislead you. even though days in Hong Kong is less than 60, no exemption. Audit, they attend the director meeting in Hong Kong. So the director meeting is in Hong Kong, even though it is via teleconferencing. What you need to consider is it board of director meeting in Hong Kong. 使唔使一定要個人喺度㗎？唔使 ，OK? Not necessarily physical presence. The board of director meetings are actually in Hong Kong. Even though he is not in Hong Kong, the management is in Hong Kong. He did not render service in Hong Kong. So exemption there are two. One is no service in Hong Kong. One is not more than 60 days. All those two exemptions are for employment, not for director. All right? Okay, finally, what you need to consider, then you may mention Section 8 first. Whether this is taxable, we check Section 8. Then we check the source, because Section 8 mentions source. Then you check the IPN 10. For office, also mentioned in the IPN 10, mention central and management and control in Hong Kong. From the facts given, you may point out they are managed in Hong Kong, board of directors in Hong Kong. A lot of activities are done in Hong Kong. Likely the central management are in Hong Kong. Okay, so this is likely Hong Kong source and therefore taxable. Okay, so you put a little bit marks for this. How to allocate the marks? 4 marks for writing skill, 8 marks for technical skills. Okay, should be 2, 3, 3, etc. or 3, 2, 3 in order to allocate the 8 marks. So service in Hong Kong, even though no, this is not applied to exemption of director. 10 days in Hong Kong, 60-day rule is not applied to office income. So no exemption. 可以吗? Okay, check the answers to see how to write this using IAS again. Question 5. Page 55. Email format. Okay, from the subject matter. 抬頭 Dear Mr. Chen, brief introduction. I tell you how to write the brief introduction. For every answer can be like that. I refer to our discussion and reply as below. Brief introduction. I refer to our discussion and advise as follow or reply as follow. Identify the issue. Scope of charge, Section 8(1)(a). I don't highlight here. You write a simple version from your notes. Hong Kong source employment or office income is subject to sales tax. And then exemption. The first one is about extended charge. For offshore employment, then you use extended charge. And then exemption. No services in Hong Kong, including 60-day rule. Exemption. I don't highlight the keyword. You copy it from your mind map. Okay. Then director fee is one type of income. Okay. If you mention this, you may get 1 more mark. If you don't mention that, you can still get the full mark because we are considering the director fee. Then code the DIPN 10 Govert's case. We check the source. We also, in terms of Macmillan Gas case for director fee. Okay. Then apply to the facts. You summarize this is likely Hong Kong source office income and taxable, and therefore the exemption not applicable. Okay, this is a summary of the tax treatment. Finally, because this is an email, you need to write the conclusion. The same simple version is like that. Sales tax 係咪易啲啊？ OK using IAS again。咁有啲咧，你其實可以唔 call 落去嘅喎。譬如咧，佢話呢個 employment 嗰啲，你一早就覺得佢係 office income 啦，就唔使專登講 employment。OK OK then we move on to question 6. Question 6. Your coming exam could be 2025-26 for the relevant year of assessment. Here, Mr. Poon and Mrs. Poon, they have medical expense 200,000. Do you think they can claim the deduction? Using IAS, you mentioned how people, taxpayer in Hong Kong can claim deduction. Section 12(1)(a). The expense or outgoings are incurred wholly, exclusively, necessarily in the production of chargeable income. Okay? After coding the relevant section, you apply to the facts. You see whether they are private, they are capital nature, or they are not incurred or essential to their duties. Quite obviously, this is private expense. Okay? So, conclusion, not deductible. Like that. Of course, you need to check the facts. Next one. They have the annuity premium, but purchased by Mr. Poon and mother. Can they claim the annuity premium? Exactly the maximum limit 60,000. What you need to observe is that mother's name is included. The premium must be in the taxpayer name. Okay? Cannot be jointly named. Therefore, this is not deductible. Can you see that? Okay? After checking the law, of course, you write, because only 2 marks, you just apply and summary. 3 marks, identify, that means give a brief explanation and then apply summary. If 2 marks, apply because blah, 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 they cannot claim. All right? Okay, they don't elect joint assessment, then you calculate the sales tax for each of them without the provisional tax. So later on, we check the facts in order to compute the sales tax. So check the sales tax item. Okay, the first point, you ask yourself what will be the tax treatment. The first point, they borrow a mortgage loan to finance to buy a property. Resides in fact as until September. They have the interest element from this period. How this will be affected in your calculations?問你呢個 loan interest 可唔可以 claim 啊？ mortgage loan interest 喺 sales tax 係咪冇得 claim 啊？咁如果係 home loan interest 咧，就可能有得 claim。OK？ 咁如果係 letting 咧，佢唔係 letting 啦，所以就唔使 claim PA 個 interest 啦，就嘗試睇係咪 home loan interest 咯。OK？Second one， 第一個係考慮 home loan interest。Second one。The couple lease a residential property. 咁而家佢租層樓啦 ，they have rent pay. What they can claim? 可以 claim 啲乜嘢？有冇 domestic rent? OK? Domestic rent deduction. 咁你要計我半年使咗幾多 rent payment 啊 ？OK, item fee. Item fee for Mr. Poon, salary income taxable, section 9(1)(a). 使唔使寫 section 9(1)(a) 落去啊？使唔使寫啊？咁唔好盡量將識嘅嘢寫落去喎，佢冇問唔好寫。佢淨係叫你計條數啫，咁你計條數出嚟得㗎啦。 Okay. Donation 30,000. Already mentioned this is approved, so or is lower than the 35% minutes, so this can be claimed. MPF maximum 18,000. There is maximum amount 18,000. If they mention 20,000, you only claim 18,000. Voluntary contribution can claim, okay? Also can claim. Maximum is 60,000 with the annuity premium. And then point 4, living with father for many years. Father passed away. The first question is, can he claim parent allowance if during the year the father passed away? 可唔可以 claim 啊？咁好仁慈嘅，佢哋個 parent allowance 啫，係 during the year 有供養嘅父母 ordinary resident 就可以嘅啦。OK， 咁啊同樣地好似 child allowance during the year 生咧都可以。Okay, so these minor things or tedious things, just do the past paper, you will observe this. Okay, second one, mother 75 years lived in elderly residential care home. 咁咪 claim elderly residential care home expenses, no? But there is maximum, so you need to check the maximum limit, which is 75,000. Which is 100,000. Okay, if he claimed elderly residential care expense for Mr. Poon, can he claim dependent parent allowance? No, only one. Either residential care expense or dependent parent allowance. And then number 5, Mrs. Poon. So you calculate separately for Mrs. Poon's sales tax. Salary 720,000 minus 18,000 for the sales tax calculation. And then number 6, annuity payment. As I mentioned earlier, you need to separate it, otherwise you cannot claim. VHS is different. VHS you can claim more, maximum 8,000. Okay, VHS health insurance scheme, 8,000 for the taxpayer or direct relative. Okay, later on we check the calculation for B. Now we continue. Property tax liability, separately 2 marks only. Okay, so you check the rental income, car parking space, 5,000 per month. If this is 12 months, you multiply by 12. Minus the rate. Remember to be careful about this wording, per quarter. So times 4. And then mortgage interest, cannot claim mortgage interest for property tax. Okay. After that, you can deduct 20% of the total deduction. Then you calculate the property tax using the formula mentioned in page 44. You may not need to present the table if it's too time consuming. Okay, point D. Finally, this mortgage interest is not deductible under property tax, but you can claim it under PA. Okay, but it must be not more than the NAV of the car park. Mr. Poon elect PA separately, so alone. So you may use the format page 45. Compute his tax liability, whether he should apply PA. Okay, did the question ask you whether he can apply or not? No. So you don't mention a lot of the conditions. You just mention he is a permanent resident, can apply PA, that's all. Don't expand further. But you calculate the tax by the above, salaries tax, property tax, and then compare with PA, which one is more beneficial, then you apply or not. Finally, if leave Hong Kong, okay, as at today, do you know any obligation rules to inform IRD for leaving Hong Kong? 知唔知㗎？唔知咧，有唔知攞分嘅方法嘅，我就想教你呢個方法先嚇。但係 at the end after 5 days, you know what you need to do. If you leave Hong Kong you need to inform IRD. Okay? So you write your answer, I need to notify IRD in writing. Okay? Normally must be 1 month before leaving Hong Kong. 咁你唔記得咁多日子㗎嘛？你就話 within certain time， 識唔識 ？Under IRO。Okay? And then because they have 3 marks, what to do? Otherwise I may have penalty. 睇唔睇到 ？Officially, actually, you need to inform IRD 1 month before leaving Hong Kong. Clear the tax by filling the tax return and pay the tax. Otherwise, you have penalty. And in order to get the money from your employer, you pay all the tax, you get a release letter. Okay? But if you are not quite sure at the end, some points you cannot retrieve, remember the golden rule. For obligation, I need to inform IRD, okay, within certain period of time. Otherwise, there is penalty. Okay, that is the approach. Okay, then we may refer here in your answer for these 23 marks. If you go into question 6 answers, which is page 57. Page 57. Are they allowed to deduct the medical expense? Identify the issue, section 12(1)(a). Okay? So these are the key wordings. What does it mean by necessary? Essential for duties. Okay, enable you to do the work because you have medical expense and enable you to do the work is not deductible. So more or less, medical expense cannot be regarded as for your purpose of income. And also this is private nature. Therefore, conclusion is summary, failed to claim the deduction. Okay? But you imagine how many marks they give you in this answer. 俾你幾多分啊？6A1， 3分係咪？寫唔寫到咁多嘢啊？抄唔切啦係咪 ？Okay, using IAS, identify, apply, summarize quickly. Okay. Annuity, no deduction because they are in joint name. So make sure you understand this is in single name. Computation for sales tax, salary, travel donation, fully deductible. Okay, elderly residential care expense, maximum 100,000. He pay 120, cannot, only 100,000. Home loan interest because he lived in his own home in the first half year can be deductible. MPF deductible, voluntary deductible, and then second half of the year domestic rent also deductible. However, if he lived in his own property in the first half, and then because he sold the property already, so no property on hand. If he has property on hand, he cannot claim the domestic rent. 可以嗎 ？Domestic rent 咧要係你冇其他冇住宅物業喺手。Okay? And then allowance, because they select separate assets, so only basic allowance, no merit allowance. Dependent parent allowances, okay? In terms of father, even though the father died at the year end. Additional dependent parent allowance, this is a concession. 咁佢爹哋嗰身唔可以同住㗎啦已經，但係 before death they are living together. Okay? Okay, the tax deduction is 3,000. How to calculate this 441 more easily? The first 200,000 is 16,000 tax. The remaining 17%. Okay. The wife one is more simple. Salary, but be careful about home loan interest. The home loan interest, the property is jointly owned. they share the home loan interest deduction. Okay, and then the health insurance maximum is 8,000. He should pay yourself 5,000, so you can claim 5,000. Domestic rent also can claim because they are paid by both. And then basic allowance and then also the tax. So simple calculation. 6 C's. Okay, if you want not to present the table, you just write the formula. Rental income, 60,000, minus wage, 3,200, and then minus 20%, and then multiply 15%, property tax. The mortgage interest for the property is in PA. We put the part in response about the property tax put here, net assessable value. About the sales tax, net assessable income. That means before concessional deduction and personal allowance. And then mortgage interest. This is lower than the net assessable value, so you can fully claim the 17,000. And then basic allowance, because separate as PA. Dependent parent allowance, additional parent allowance, the same. So if this amount is lesser than the sales tax, property tax altogether, then you select PA. Okay, they have not asked you whether he can claim PA or not, so in the answer, no mention on this thing. 睇得出嘛？咁如果佢叫你 compute， 你就 compute 就唔使講好多嘢，係嘛 ？Okay, finally the obligation. Obligation, what to do? About to leave Hong Kong, give notice to ILD in writing. Okay? And then not later than 1 month before departure. So write to them, submit the tax return and pay the tax, otherwise penalty. Hảo, 咁我哋做咗50分啦，睇下有冇嘢想問。除咗50幾分㗎啦，係嘛 ？We have done 2025 June paper. Okay, question 1, 3, 5, 6. Typical questions. Not that difficult, only clumsy. Okay, clumsy means you need to practice in order to be faster. So in order to practice it well, I suggest you to write it in your at home. Check it, try to write it using IAS. In computation, using formula, the computation formats. Okay, time yourself in order to be within the time limits. So overall, for scope of profits tax charge, we did it, question 1 and question 3A. Check your mind map, page 5 and 6. And then we have done question 5 for sales tax, in particular the scope only. Check your mind map, page 40 and 41, writing SH only. And then in question 6, we have computation for sales tax, we have computation for property tax, we have computation for PA. In your mind map, page 42 to page 46. All right? Okay, that's all for the topics above.